Good morning. It's Sunday, July 16th, and I have been living on Long Island for over 50 years. And there are many, many beautiful spots on Long Island that overlook the ocean or Long Island Sound. And we even had a condo out east in Calverton at Baiting Hollow that overlooked the Sound, and we could go there every weekend, and it had a golf course. It was just wonderful, beautiful spot. Looked across the Sound at the fireworks on the 4th of July. And there are many places on Long Island where you can do those kinds of things. And on the South Shore of Long Island, we had beautiful beaches, and we went to them occasionally. And one of those beaches was a very beautiful spot called Gilgo Beach. But Gilgo Beach had a tag because bodies had been found on Gilgo Beach. There was a masked murderer who was depositing the remains of humans on Gilgo Beach, and they were searching for this man for a long, long time. And I say man because the person has been caught and accused. His name is Rick Howerman, and he's been charged with the deaths of 3 women. Now, these women who have been picked up and left dead on Gilgo Island have been working as escorts. Howerman is a 59-year-old New York City architect, and he's charged with the murders of 3 women whose bodies were discovered covered in burlap along Ocean Parkway in December 2010, according to the records. Right? Now, these women disappeared at different times before 2010, and the Suffolk County Police Commissioner, Rodney Harrison, said Howerman is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families. Now, according to the police, shortly before each woman vanished, she had contact with a person using a burner cell phone. And this phone had no verified identity according to the court record. And the cell phones of 2 of the victims were used by the killer after he had killed them. That's according to the record. And on 5 occasions in the summer of 2009, in Midtown Manhattan, which is where Howerman's office was located, Howerman used one of the victims' phone to make taunting calls to the victim's family members. That's what the court document says. And some of the calls resulted in conversations between the caller, who was a male, who was Howerman, and a relative of the victim, in which the male killer admitted killing and sexually assaulting the victim. That's what these documents said. Now, according to the court records and everything, Howerman's wife was out of time when each of these 3 victims disappeared. Of course she would be out of town. And I don't believe, based upon whatever I read, is that she was wise to her husband's carryings on. But who knows? Who knows for sure? Now, it was clear to the police when they found these bodies that they were all attacked and killed by the same killer, because they were all similarly positioned and bound in similar fashion, either by belts or tapes, and left in the burlap bag. It's amazing to me how he was caught. A male hair was recovered from the burlap used to wrap one of the bodies, and that DNA was found to be a match to a leftover pizza crust that Howerman threw into a Manhattan garbage can in January 2023, according to the court documents. So he must have been under surveillance. They must have been watching this guy for a while, because who finds a pizza crust in a garbage can from somebody unless this guy is a suspect from day one? Who's watching this guy? Now, Howerman is married. He's 59 years old. He's the father of 2 people, and he used his burner phones to conduct thousands of searches related to sex workers and torture-related pornography and sadistic and child pornography. This guy was a really evil man, in spite of being a professional architect in the city of New York. And other searches were related to active and known serial killers. And the disappearance of the Gilgo Beach victims, one search said, according to the court records, why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught yet? Because they've been looking at serial killers for a long time. Now, I don't know what we would consider strange behavior from a serial killer, but in any event, this guy did things that would seem to have pointed him earlier in the case, because he was constantly on a search for photos of his victims. Now, I don't know where he would be searching for photos of his victims, but these people were escort workers, and perhaps they did advertising and they had their pictures out, some nefarious publications or whatever, but this guy was on the constant search for victims. Now, Holloman was arrested in Manhattan on Thursday night, and law enforcement was seen outside his home in Massapequa Park on Friday morning. Now, Holloman became a suspect in March 2022. That's a long time after the killings took place. And he was tracked because somebody saw a Chevrolet Avalanche at the scene of the crime, apparently. And they saw that Holloman had such a car. And then the detective started looking through his cell phone records, and they discovered clues that led them to Massapequa Park and Midtown Manhattan. Now, it's not very clear exactly what happened, but that's a general picture of how they captured this guy. Now, the search for this serial killer, for Holloman, and he might not be the only serial killer. Maybe Gilgo Beach in that area is a place for many serial killers. But meanwhile, the search for serial killer began in 2010 with the discovery of a woman's body along Ocean Parkway. Over the next year, the bodies of 7 more women, a man, and a toddler were discovered in the same general area. I don't know how come a man and a toddler became involved in this entire mess, but who knows? Maybe they were victims because they saw something. Investigators long believed that there's more than one serial killer working, and the condition of the wooded stretches along Ocean Parkway were long known as the dumping grounds for bodies. The first remains were found there in 2003, so it's over 20 years since they found the first bodies at Gilgo Beach. So they're going to continue investigating to see if they can find more information about how and when many of these bodies ended up on Gilgo Beach. This is not over yet. In fact, the leading investigator said there's more work to do in this investigation because we have to find out who killed the other victims. I leave you with that. A good thing that happened on Long Island, but a bad thing that happened to humanity. Have a great day. Bye.